During the unlikely event of a nuclear or radiological emergency at the Bruce Power Site, the Province of Ontario will activate the Provincial Nuclear Emergency Response Plan. As directed and in cooperation with the province, the Municipality of Kincardine will manage the off-site emergency response through activation of their plans and procedures. Our aim in any emergency situation is to reduce the risk to people, property, and the environment, with the primary focus being on preserving and protecting life safety. During an emergency, the municipality will establish an emergency worker center at the Kincardine Fire Station. Its primary purpose is to provide dose and exposure control, monitoring, and decontamination of emergency workers who may be required to enter the primary zone. The primary zone is a 10-kilometer radius from the Bruce Power Site. Dose and exposure control, monitoring, and decontamination of Bruce Power staff entering the Bruce Power Site is the responsibility of Bruce Power. Emergency workers are defined as non-Bruce Power workers, who are required to enter areas likely to be affected by radiation outside the nuclear facility boundary, and for whom special safety arrangements are required. They may include police, firefighters, emergency medical services, municipal, county, provincial, or federal staff. In the event of an on-site emergency, defined as emissions occurring within 12 to 36 hours, the response sectors in the primary zone will default as follows. Sectors 1 and 7 will be orange, and all other sectors will be green. If the emergency is recategorized to a general emergency, defined as emissions occurring or imminent, the sector safety status is updated as follows. Sectors 1 and 7 will be red, sectors 2, 3, and 8 will be orange, and all other sectors will be green. Bruce Power is responsible for the operation of the Monitoring and Decontamination Unit, also known as the MDU, including providing the equipment and trained staff. An MDU supervisor oversees the operation of the MDU and the exposure control desk, and reports to the center supervisor, as well as liaising with Bruce Power's Emergency Management Center for logistical support. Emergency workers will receive their work assignment from their supervisor and will first report to the EWC, where they will be provided with personal monitoring devices and briefed on the precautions they should observe and any maximum time limit on their stay in the sector. Upon arriving at the EWC, workers will be asked if they have been at the primary zone. When it is confirmed that they have not been in the primary zone, they are directed to park and report to the exposure control desk. Upon arriving at the exposure control desk, Bruce Power will ask where the worker is assigned in the primary zone and initiate the dose record form for the worker. The purpose of the dose record form is to document personal information, track dose received, and dose balance available for future assignments, as required by law. Bruce Power will review the sector safety status map with respect to the area that the workers will be traveling. If there is a possibility that the worker is pregnant, the worker may only enter a green sector. If the worker is going into a red sector, an escort is required. An escort is a highly trained radiation protection Bruce Power employee. The same dose record form is initiated for the escort, and the escort is tracked in the escort log. The worker is then directed along with the escort to the dosimetry issuer. Bruce Power updates the sector safety status map and form hourly. Here the worker will be issued a thermoluminescent dosimetry badge, also known as a TLD. The TLD number is recorded on the dose record form. Then an electronic personal dosimeter, or an EPD, is issued to the individual, or if more than one person is working in the same area, one EPD is issued to a single worker in the group. The EPD number is also recorded on the dose record form. The EPD and TLD badge must be worn on the exterior of their clothing, on the trunk of their body, and within 15 centimeters apart. Each individual worker or group of workers is then issued sector safety status cards and potassium iodide tablets. Advise the worker they may only consume the tablets if prescribed by their supervisor. Then the workers and escort are briefed using a checklist, including instructing the workers on the required actions if the EPD alarms. The dose rate alarm is a fast intermittent tone which indicates that the area that the worker is in exceeds the prescribed dose rate limits. The worker is required to back out of the area until the alarm has stopped. The dose rate value is 1.5 rem per hour, 1500 millirem per hour. The dose alarm is a continuous tone. This means that the worker has reached 80% of the dose allowed to be received. The worker is required to stop work and return to the EWC. The dose alarm value is 2 rem or 2000 millirem. Workers are not to exceed 4 rem or any lower limit prescribed by the EWC. Inform the worker if they are approaching this limit and that they should be reassigned. Precautionary measures are established for each sector safety status. Red safety status is defined as greater than 500 millirem per hour. The worker is only allowed to enter the sector if an escort has been assigned to accompany them, and they must limit their stay to 1 hour unless otherwise directed. Pregnant workers shall not enter the red sector. If duties permit, the worker should remain under shelter or inside vehicle with windows up. They must observe any additional precautions as prescribed by the EWC and the escort. Orange safety status is defined as 20 microrem per hour to 500 millirem per hour. Here workers do not require an escort and they must limit their stay to 4 hours. Pregnant workers shall not enter an orange sector. Green safety status is defined as less than 20 microrem per hour. There are no additional precautions or a limit on stay in this sector. The final instructions for the worker and escort is to return directly to the EWC area after completing their assignment. As workers return from their assignment in the primary zone, they arrive at vehicle monitoring. Here, portable contamination meters are used to monitor the driver's hands and the vehicle's front fender and tire to determine if any contamination above background is present. For the purpose of this video, when we use the word contamination, we are referring to radiological contamination. In the unlikely event that contamination is detected, workers are provided gloves, given a red tag, and then directed through to the vehicle decontamination area. In the first step of vehicle decontamination, the local fire department will wash the exterior of the vehicle. MDU staff then re-monitor the vehicle to ensure no contamination is present. Once the exterior of the vehicle is declared clean, the workers are escorted to personal monitoring. The second step of vehicle decontamination is checking for interior vehicle contamination. If contamination is found, MDU will decontaminate using yellow tape, a vacuum, or other standard procedures. When dealing with ambulance and patient transfer, be sure to monitor the patient compartment and equipment, and request that paramedics remove the equipment from the vehicle before they are assessed at personal monitoring. Once decontamination is complete for both equipment and personnel, paramedics will reload all equipment. Cleaned areas are remonitored to ensure proper decontamination. The red tag is removed from the vehicle once declared clean. Workers arrive at personal monitoring and undergo full body monitoring by MDU staff. In the unlikely event that contamination is found on a worker,
and 1,500 counts on his coat,
a form is completed documenting the location of contamination on the worker. When monitoring police, MDU staff are not permitted to handle weapons. MDU staff will escort the worker to the decontamination area where the form will be provided and the worker will be remonitored to confirm the location of contamination. When contamination is in a localized area, it will be cleaned through the use of tape, washing of hands, or other standard techniques. In cases of general contamination, workers are instructed to shower and provide a urine or bioassay sample. Tyveks are provided and personal clothing is bagged. The worker is remonitored and the form is updated to document that decontamination was successful and the clothing receipt is issued to the worker.
That's good, that's clean.
Prior to exiting, MDU staff will monitor hands, feet, and previously contaminated areas a final time. Single-use blue sticky mats ensure no cross-contamination occurs from the MDU area to the rest of the Emergency Worker Center. During the operation of the MDU, staff ensure through routine monitoring that no cross-contamination has occurred. From here, workers are then directed to the Exposure Control Desk. Here, staff collect the form documenting the location of contamination on the worker and file under the worker's name. The dose record form is updated documenting the final EPD reading, the dose balance available on the uptake, and worker's dose from TLD readout when available. The worker and escort, when applicable, is directed to the dosimetry issuer. Here, all equipment is collected. This includes the EPD, TLD, safety sector status cards, and the potassium iodide tablets. If the EPD is alarming, the TLD badge will be read out immediately. If the worker will be receiving future assignments within the primary zone, the assigned TLD badge will be stored. If the nuclear emergency response plan is categorized as an on-site or general emergency, the remote exposure control desk will be established by Bruce Power. In the event institutional monitoring is requested by the Municipality of Kincardine, an escort will be assigned to complete this task. Currently, the only institution in the primary zone is the Tiverton Park Manor. Here, the escorts will perform radiation surveys. If the institution has not been monitored before, they will leave the TLD at the reception desk. If the building is still occupied, they will leave an EPD behind. On return to EWC, they will report survey results to the MDU supervisor and complete required documentation. During the unlikely event of a nuclear incident, the municipality may also be directed to establish a Joint Traffic Control Centre. The Joint Traffic Control Centre is managed by the Ontario Provincial Police, with assistance from the Ministry of Transportation. Its primary function is to implement the Joint Traffic Control Plan in order to manage activities required to ensure that roads are patrolled and kept clear for evacuation purposes, and to coordinate checkpoints for entry into the primary zone. All activities pertaining to public utilities such as gas, hydro, telephone, etc. are coordinated through the Joint Traffic Control Centre. Additional responsibilities include providing security and traffic control at municipal emergency centers if required, and coordinating marine emergency response with the Canadian Coast Guard. Routine review and assessment are critical components of the development and maintenance of emergency plans and procedures for all organizations. Validation of the effectiveness of these plans is achieved through annual drills, exercises, and training. Through these regular training events, responders gain valuable hands-on experience while identifying gaps and opportunities to further enhance processes, procedures, and plans.